my aim to coming to Charlie was it's a good opportunity to learn a bit more about carbon. It's not about the money, it's about if we can incorporate it, that's all truly a bonus, but it's to raise production and to give everyone a chance in the southeast to have someone to come and say, hey, well, what did they do? Did it work or did it fail? So that's why we're here today.
My name's Charlie Banger, and this particular block is called Hillcrest. It's 740 hectares. Average rainfall is supposedly around 24 inches, and normally we run a trade steer operation on this block.
We know that in ag in general that we have emissions. In this particular property, in a cattle operation, we've worked out what those emissions are. What we're trying to achieve through an ACCU project is to say, okay, we've got emissions, but now we know that we can also grow carbon. So it's about trying to balance the emissions with the sequestration to get to, well, carbon neutral as a start, and certainly the opportunity to get to carbon positive.
The main things when we were setting the project up we talked about were, I guess, setting the baseline because it was all new to me. I didn't really understand how any of it would work, so just understanding that there's a baseline in your pastures of carbon that exists already, and that's the point of the project we're at the moment. And then getting our head around how we can make improvements in the future.
The key practice change is going to be intensification of grazing, so looking at mob sizes and paddock rotations through the lens of best practice, which Hillcrest already does.
Cut large paddocks down into smaller hectareage, so the pasture usage is more efficient, and then the pasture should be actively growing for more months of the year and therefore sequester more carbon for longer. And on this particular block, we've tried to start going down the path or make the change of adding more clovers or more legumes to our repasture mixes, because the clovers will add more nitrogen, which will feed the pastures.
While the plants and the pastures are growing, whilst they're also growing up, they're also growing down. And whilst that root biomass is increasing below ground, that's where the carbon sequestration takes place.
I can see what he's looking for straight away, as you all know. He's trying to chase the organic matter and what it is, and he's found it.
First, we need to have the lot line plan or the boundary of the project, and we have to exclude the area where we cannot do the practice change, and we have to maintain the area where we can't do practice change, but we need to maintain those existing vegetation and other the carbon related stuff. And then outside that, within the paddock, we have to make the clear area, boundary of the area to apply for practice change, which we call carbon estimation area.
As a region, I think this is certainly prospective for soil carbon. There are some constraints with soil, this calcareous layer at 40 centimetres. We just push through it for the most part. Not so much in this project, but one of the other things we identified in terms of a potential practice change was some amelioration activities. There's been some work done around here, essentially trying to crack that calcareous layer to allow water and roots to penetrate. That's something that we could certainly look at in the future as we progress. We know that this is a productive area. It's just about making sure that we can sequester carbon in these soils, which we know we can.
Biggest learnings to this point, well, I guess just starting off really primitively, I didn't even understand or really know that pastures sequestered carbon in the first place. I was more thinking along the lines of just trees did, and how we can try and make an improvement on our baseline so we will hopefully sit in carbon credit territory, not in carbon deficit. It costs a lot of money to repasture paddocks. It's all good and well just to say, oh yeah, they look nice, but by actually having the data there, we can see if we're getting more days of grazing on those hectares that have been repastured than others that haven't. So that part's really important.
The whole idea is to be able to layer a range of different carbon farming methods over a lot and plan, so you get the most benefit. As well as keeping it agricultural. I think that's one of the real focuses for Elders. We do lots of these things on farm anyway through best practice management. So if we can capture and measure that and put it into a framework to add value on the farm, well, that's what we're here for.